Welcome back to Carneades.org. Today we're going to be looking at the final installment of our series, The Last Refuge of a Scoundrel. In this video, we're going to be looking at what is moral patriotism. Now, the final variety of patriotism we're going to examine is moral or ethical patriotism. While this variety of patriotism fits onto the universalist side of the spectrum, it requires arguably more of the patriot than liberal or instrumentalist patriotism does. Moral patriotism is the view that it is the responsibility of the true patriot to make their country a more moral place. For many of the patriots we've seen so far, the relationship between patriot and country is similar to a parent and child relationship where the patriot is the child being raised by a community or a country. The love that a patriot shows for their country is like the love that a child shows for their parent by obeying them, supporting them, etc. For the ethical patriot, this relationship is turned on their head. True moral patriots are the ones responsible for the ethical growth of a country. The love they show their country is like the love a parent shows a child. They take pride in their country's accomplishments and feel shame when it fails to live up to ethical standards. Moral patriots are able to avoid many of the issues faced by other types of patriots. They do not have to support their country's horrible actions, but they must take responsibility for them. That means they don't fall into the traps either of the extreme or robust patriot who must endorse moral wrongs if that is what their country values. However, they don't fall into the other side of feeling competing loyalties between universal ethics and country goals that the liberal patriot might, because for them, their country's goals is to be moral by universal standards. Nor do they seem insufficiently loyal, as the instrumentalist might, as they are responsible for their specific country's actions. This position also avoids some of the concern with liberal and instrumentalist patriotism, that the view is too watered down, or that it's unclear what you might sacrifice for your country. The ethical patriot can claim to be willing to die for the moral betterment of their country, and stand by their country despite its faults, but that standing by their country doesn't mean accepting it unquestioningly, or only standing by the parts of it that don't disagree with the kind of universal ethical code, but rather standing by their country so that they can make their country a better place that fits the better universal ethical code, taking their country with its faults and trying to make it a better place. The ethical patriot doesn't abandon their country in face of criticism, as the liberal or instrumentalist might, nor do they blindly endorse it, as the extreme or robust patriot might. Rather, they acknowledge the failings, but roll up their sleeves and start fixing it, because that's how they show love to their country. Imagine you are caring for elderly parents, and you discover that your mother has a heroin addiction that is destroying her ability to care for herself. You have several choices. You might stand by her and support her addiction, because she's your mother, and that's your responsibility as a child. You might turn her into the cops, or because that's the right thing to do in a universally moral sense. Or you might work with her to get over her addiction. According to the moral patriot, the first is the response of the robust and extreme patriot. The second is the response of the liberal or instrumentalist patriot, while the final one is, according to the moral patriot, what you should do, and is the response of the moral patriot. When you realize that your country is doing something that is wrong, you shouldn't abandon it, but you shouldn't accept it blindly. You should try to fix it. Now, there are several reasons you might object to or disagree with moral patriotism. From the perspective of robust or extreme patriotism, there's no universal morality. The only morality that matters is the morality of the community or of your government. The child should not try to shape the parent, only, at least in the case of robust patriotism, help the parent to uphold their professed views. In the end, the disagreement comes down to the meta-ethical viewpoints about whether or not there is a universal good. But if you don't think there is a universal good, you're unlikely to be swayed by or convinced by ethical or moral patriotism, or you might simply think that ethical or moral patriotism is simply a restating of robust patriotism. Now, conversely, the liberal or instrumentalist patriot might object that this puts an unattainable burden on the patriot. Most people cannot alter the destiny of their country, cannot shape and change it beyond in infinitesimal ways. If ought implies can, and you cannot actually make your country more moral, there cannot be an imperative to do so. The moral patriot might respond in several ways. They might say that patriotism isn't an obligation, but doing something above and beyond the call of duty. Or they might say that infinitesimal improvements are sufficient, that all you need to do is as much as you can to improve your country's moral standing, even if that's something as small as personally showing kindness to foreigners to show them that your country is a moral place that you encounter, or voting for more moral policies that are more in line with universal ethics. With that, that concludes our series on patriotism. What do you think? Do any of the patriotisms listed here appeal to you? There is a wide variety that we've looked at here that could be what it means to be a true patriot. Do any of them appeal to you, or are they all bad? Are they all simply the last refuge of a scoundrel, and we should just abandon them all and become cosmopolitans? Thanks for watching. I'd love your comments below about the whole series, about any of the positions expressed here, or just about moral and ethical patriotism. Let me know what you think. If you like this video and you want to see more, please do hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we have more series like this in the future. If you haven't checked out the whole series already, check out the playlist, check out everything, check out our series on nationalism as well. It covers similar topics. Watch this video and more here at Carneades.org. And as always, stay skeptical, everybody.